Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another preview, and this time it's our second team pack, the Defenders. Like the Doctor Strange team pack before it, this pack comes with 9 characters and 3 card versions for each character and 2 dice per character, for a total of 18 dice and 24 cards. Building teams for the set seemed to be fairly well received last time I did it, so we're going to do that again. Let's go over the cards and build a Defenders team. I'm going to start with Hellcat, because she's kind of the most important piece to this team, and she's the only defender that comes in under 5 cost. All 3 versions of Hellcat can play a role in a build, but for this team, we're going to go with the all-around best of them. It's Patsy. You want to keep her cycling, and we'll cover stuff to enable that a little bit later. Next up, we'll cover the 2 characters returning from the Doctor Strange pack. So first we have Clea. Star-Crossed is interesting because you essentially get a free block with none of the repercussions, unless that character being blocked has Overcrush. But with the prevalence of both Bolt and Mask characters, Mistress of the Dark Dimension might very well be the best choice here. This also gives you some hate for those Mask Ring teams that are likely to be very prevalent here in Modern. All 3 of our Doctor Strange options play off of action dice in some way. I like Book of Vishanti, but at 7 cost, he's going to be hard to get to. Shields of the Seraphim is still pretty solid and comes in a tad cheaper. I do worry about hindering my dice cycling, so we'll use this ability pretty sparingly. I am going to have some basic actions in this build, well, obviously, but I'm going to have some specific ones I do plan on using. So, if the opportunity to buy him comes up, it'll likely be worth it. Hulk here doesn't give you any choice but a 7 cost. Banner's Not Home is interesting for taking out other characters, but I actually think All the Rage is going to be our best bet because we'll be using a few things that will KO our own characters. It's not ideal, and the AVX Hulks still reign as the strongest, but this one's serviceable. Now we get into the trio of characters that have me excited to play this team. First off, we'll start off with our latest Netflix star, Danny Rand, the Iron Fist himself. Pulling Punches very much outclasses the other 2 options here. The ability is a fantastic way of clearing out sidekicks, and gives you the added bonus of damaging your opponent for each one that's KO'd. This also means fewer blockers, and could be used in conjunction with Magic Missile, or something to take out allies as well. This is just a fantastic card, and one of the best in the set, really. I definitely expect people to be trying to build around this in Modern. Continuing the Netflix crew, now we have Jessica Jones, who comes in sporting her Jewel attire. The pretty clear winner here, to me, is Ladies' Night. Having long been a lover of anger issues, which is now Haymaker, she makes using pump globals even more lucrative. I use Goliath Global on Hellcat, and Jessica Jones gets +1/+1 as well. Target Ms. Jones with it, and she gets +2/+2. So your opponent tried to Magic Missile her, she gets +1/+1, completely undoing any damage she took. I really like her, and I'm likely to try to squeeze her into a fist team at some point. Now, we've seen some fairly unpleasant purchase costs, and even our last 2 come in at 5 costs. Thankfully, we've got our last of the Netflix trio to help us out here. All 3 of these are kind of neat, but at the cost of the stuff in this set, I feel like Street Sweeper is pretty much a necessity for this team. He makes those 5, 6, and 7 cost characters a bit more reachable, and lets you prep a die each time you fielded another defender. Now, we've also got Loki in this set, but I don't think he really fits in this team at all. But let's go over him real quick, take a look, because I still think he's kind of neat. Paper Throne worries me because the control is only for lower level characters. So with my luck, I know I would always get him at level 1, and that would make him kind of useless. The energy taxing of Master's Delusion is interesting, but we've had the 4-cost Lex Luthor in World's Finest that does the same thing. However, the 2 of these together could be really debilitating. Sibling Rivalry might be the most useful, but the timing would be a little odd. I still think it could be useful, just it's a little strange. But now back to the team. Without using Loki, we've got an empty slot. So, though he was briefly in Defenders, I think we could go with Goliath here for a global to set Jessica Jones off, but Rip Hunter's Shockboard would also be an excellent choice here. We could also drop one of our more expensive characters to go with both. Now for basic actions, my choice would be Proton Cannon and Superhero Registration Act. But if we want Rip Hunter's Chalkboard over Goliath, Kuna Cold may be the better choice to make sure we still have something to pump Jessica Jones with, so that I'd probably put that in place of Superhero Registration Act. Proton Cannon is nice because we can just send out our Hellcats, try to throw them against your opponent's wall, and throw a Proton Cannon on them. If she gets blocked and has Overcrush, great. Then she gets KO'd at the end of the turn because of the cannon, and gets cycled back in to choose a new character for her ability. We can also throw it on Jessica Jones to Overcrush our enemies, and she won't get the knockout because she's a Fist character. Superhero Registration Act gives us some much needed ramp, and if our opponent buys it, it's another way to cycle our Hellcat. Also, each time that KO happens, if we've got Hulk fielded, our opponent is taking damage. Alternately, if you go with Rip Hunter's Chalkboard and Cone of Cold, turn 1 you could rip and buy the Proton Cannon, turn 2 you could hope you roll all energy, and you could possibly rip and get Luke Cage, and as long as he comes out, you're pretty well set with 4 cost Jessica Jones and Iron Fist and 2 cost Hellcats. So yeah, that's pretty nice. And there we have it. That's our team. I've played around with it a bit, and I think it's actually pretty fun. The Iron Fist really does some heavy lifting on this team, and the Jessica Jones makes for a nice finisher. And the more expensive guys make for some good extra utility to whittle your opponent away. There's some really great pieces in here to use either in a Defender's team or to break out into other teams. Yes, the costs are high, and Loki might seem a little out of place, but still, this is some really fun stuff. Definitely love it.